Long ago, the four nations lived together in harmony. That all changed when the Water Nation attacked. Wait, that's not right. Hey, this can't be right, can it? Geez, how much cactus juice was this writer on? Oh, this is another Avatar What If video. Gotcha. Well, we all know the Fire Nation are a bunch of jerks, but what if instead the Water Tribes decided they wanted to take over the world? Could they have been merciless and strategic enough to take over everything? Would they have a different method of doing it? Well, let's discuss right now. I think waterbending is perceived as one of the most peaceful bending techniques, at least on the surface. Fire is aggressive and passionate, earth is stubborn and unyielding, and yeah, air is made up of literal monks and all, but there's something sinister about a group of all vegetarians, am I right? So from what we saw early on in the Last Airbender show, waterbending was relatively peaceful. It was a bending technique that seemed calm and soothing and a little tranquil and seemed to have a focus on healing and defense. And it definitely had more connection with the spirit world and respected the balance of everything. It's no wonder that after the Fire Nation wiped out the Air Nomads, they were able to pick off the Southern Water Tribe waterbenders relatively easily. But as The Last Airbender went on, we learned that waterbenders had a definite dark side. With the introduction of the terrifying bending technique known as bloodbending, or advanced ventriloquism to some, it showed just how dark an evil waterbender could be. The Legend of Korra followed that mindset by having two waterbending big bads in a row, each offering a unique challenge to the new Team Avatar. Amon was an advanced bloodbender who had the power to block the chi in a person to take away their bending ability, while Unalaq wanted to merge with Vatu during harmonic convergence and bring about a new age of darkness. So, with all that in mind, I want to present to you a fun new what-if theory. What if, instead of the Fire Nation, it was the Water Tribes who enacted a plan to take over the world? Sure, on the surface that may seem impossible, but just imagine if they had someone like Amon or Unalaq during the events of Last Airbender. So let's break down a scenario. Instead of the Fire Nation wiping out the Air Nomads, it would be a Water Tribe attack instead. Just to give those Water Tribes a fighting chance, let's say that the Water Tribes have a powerful bloodbender like Amon who wants to train other bloodbenders, and also someone like Unalaq who wants to harness the destructive power of spirits. Now, this could be interesting. Sozin had the plan to kill all the Air Nomads because he knew the Avatar was there. But that wasn't really thinking long term, was it? Rava's spirit would just be reincarnated. And what lucky nation would get the Avatar after the Airbenders? That's right, waterbenders. Now, if I was leading the Water Tribes to war, I'd start to plan ahead. I would go attack the Air Nomads, not necessarily to wipe them out, but instead to specifically target the young Avatar, so that we could take him or her out and have him or her play for our team instead. I'd basically be ensuring that the world's superweapon is on our side, because then it would make the war much easier, don't you think? It would actually be a pretty smart idea for the Water Tribes to attack the Air Nation first. So let's say everything worked out the same way. The Air Nomads were mostly wiped out because it was a surprise attack, and the Water Tribes were able to use both bloodbending and certain spirit attacks to win. Plus, make it a full moon, why not? Aang can still be frozen for 100 years, which would be ironic that he's frozen in water now, but then what type of world would he wake up to? Well, probably not a great one. Over 100 years of training bloodbenders and using their spirit connections to take over the world might even be easier for the Water Tribes instead of the Fire Nation. Because if you haven't noticed, most of the world is covered in water. If they were focused, they'd make sure all their major battles happened around water so they'd never lose. First, they'd attack and capture all cities that are waterfront, naturally. But then, to hurt the inland cities more, they'd cut off water supplies from all other rivers and other sources so that those other cities would be forced to surrender. Plus, if you have a waterbender like Unalaq who's super into spirits, there's another advantage over the dry land. Guys, I think the world is in trouble here. And we can still have Aang wake up 100 years later, and even a young Katara and Sokka could find him, but that creates a whole new dynamic. Katara and Sokka can still be good kids who don't approve of the war, but that creates immediate conflict with Aang since the waterbenders wiped out his people. It would be like if Aang paired with a firebender in the original show to start the series off. Talk about complicated, right? But it would provide such an interesting backdrop as Aang works with Katara and Sokka, as well as Toph and Zuko, to master all four elements and stop the now established singular Water Nation from completely wiping out everything. That scenario sounds fascinating, both in the short term and the long term, because after Aang does eventually defeat the Water Nation and starts to heal the damage done, then there's a new complication. After Aang dies, the next avatar is Korra, the Waterbender. How would the world treat a waterbending avatar after her nation just recently waged war for 100 years? It would change her dynamic with people completely and force her to not only protect the world from evil threats, but also rebuild the image of waterbenders. Man, this started as a what if, but I actually love this idea now. Come on, Avatar Studios. I hope you're listening. Take note. You know who would have loved the waterbender takeover? The cabbage merchant. Cabbages are like 90% water or something, so you know where that guy's allegiances lie. Trust me, he definitely has a sinister side.